his leadership skills acknowledged by House leaders, and his appointment to serve on two major committees, the Powerful Energy and Commerce Panel and the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He, in fact, was a member of the first official congressional delegation to Iraq following major combat operations. He's been back in the Middle East a number of times and is a newlywed. Nice to see you here in our Gillespie Group storefront studio.
It is great to see you, and great coffee next door, by the way. Love it.
Terrific. You've got your caffeine for the morning.
I got it. It's great.
Are you the kind of politician who knocks on doors? I mean, how many years have you been in Congress now?
Oh, this will be my 10th year, believe it or not. Doesn't
So,
feel like it, but
you know enough to know then that you have to stay in touch with your...
Sure. There's a variety of ways you do it. You knock on doors, you have coffees, you go to little events. I like to have small community events where somebody will invite their neighbors into their home. That's always nice. It's more
efficient.
Yeah, it's more personal, and you get to see more people, and I think it's better use of your time. So.
Yeah, we've been talking to congressional candidates this morning, and they say that they knock on doors, and about a third of the time they'll get someone who's willing to listen. And to me, I don't really want anybody knocking on my door to talk to me, but it's grassroots politics. And there was a time when you probably had to do that. Now you've got momentum. Your name recognition is fantastic. In fact, I understand even in the Obama election, you got 56.5% of the vote in what was considered a Democratic tsunami. Not for you.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think I have great staff. We're very, very involved in the community, except for Tony Baltimore. other than him, we're fine.
Well, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, exactly. And we're very involved in the community, and we've never gone away from that. And good politics is good policy. And good policy is good politics. So if you do your job and you work at it and you govern while you're in office, I think people will reward you for that.
You do have an opponent, as I understand, and he's from Lansing. I can't pronounce his last name though.
Nagala Malume.
That's easy for you to say.
Nagala Malume. Yeah.
Yeah, and a serious challenge.
Well, listen, when you win by 88 votes, as I did in 2000, every challenge is a serious challenge, and we don't take anything for granted. So the good news is we don't have to change every election. We don't have to change who we are, or what we believe in, or what we talk about. We can just continue to do the good work that we're doing in any campaign, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And we're not going to stop working. We're going to campaign. We're going to work hard. We're going to do all the things we're supposed to do.
If you were to knock on the door and someone were lucky enough to have you do that, what would be the 30-second spiel you would give them?
Well, I think the good news is most folks know who I am, so I can talk from a position of at least them having the opportunity to know who I am and what I stand for. And just talk about the future and why it's so important that we send somebody back to Congress that has the experience on the Intelligence Committee, that can deal with the national security issues, that understands what we have to do for the economy to get jobs back in Michigan from a federal level. And lastly, I'll talk always about that last bit, about our national debt, $1.6 trillion. Deficit spending just this year alone. That's more deficit spending than all of the other administrations of the United States combined.
In fact, the Washington Times, the nation's debt leapt $166 billion in a single day last week, the third largest increase in U.S. history.
Well, and here, what's the funny part about it was funny, not ha-ha, I guess, but when the other party took over in 2006, they were saying, hey, Republicans, we're spending too much money. And in fact, I think we were. It was $168 billion for that year.
This is in a single day.
I understand that. It went from 168 that next year that the other party took control, went to $400 billion, and has only been going up. When they took the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, the president, it went to $1.4 trillion their first year that they owned it, and $1.6 trillion this year, and it will only get bigger. It is, I tell you, this is the thing that keeps me up. There's a lot of things that keep me up at night. I've been on the Intelligence Committee. But from a financial, economic health of the United States, that deficit is absolutely unsustainable. And what it does is it takes money away from small businesses able to get capital to do the things that they need to do to grow and hire people. The federal government isn't going to hire enough people to get us out of this recession.
Well, we were just reading that this morning, that the banks are still being very stingy. Credit is very tight, and those banks who were stung, reducing available funds, raising interest rates, and rejecting applicants altogether.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And here's the other. This is the very frustrating part about Washington. The rhetoric coming from the White House is, we're going to do these programs. We're going to have small business loans. We're going to do this. Their same regulators are going into banks saying you have to increase your loss loan reserve. They increase the amount of money the bank has to pay for insurance, which means at the end of the day, that's all fancy talk for there is less money for that bank to loan to a small business. And when you can't say on the pulpit, oh, I'm here to help you, and then when the microphone goes off, they're in there telling them you can't lend money. And it's working at cross purposes, and it's frustrating to this really hundreds and thousands of small businesses in mid-Michigan who can't get the capital that they need.
Sandy in Lansing, you're in the air at 888-900-9966 with United States Congressman Mike Rogers.
Hello?
Sandy, do you have a question for the Congressman?
Yes, I do.
Very good.
And we appreciate all the work, the hard work that he does.
Thank you, Sandy.
I know that the deficit is terrible, but is there any chance that the unemployment will be extended because there's thousands of us that are still without a job?
Yeah.
Okay, Sandy?
For the first time, thankfully, they took the unemployment and separated it from all the other things. They kept putting all these other programs on it, trying to get people to vote for these other programs. Last week in the House, we voted for the extension. I supported the extension. The trick is this, and this is what was so disheartening to me. We can pay for this. Think about all the dumb things that have just come out in the last week. A turtle fence, a museum in New York. I think it's the Hippie Museum, whatever the heck it is. All these dumb things that they're spending money on. And our argument was, and I support the extension, I voted for the extension, because I argued their incompetence shouldn't hurt the people who are getting ready to lose their homes or couldn't make their car payment. But we could have paid for this, and they should have paid for it. And what I mean by paid for it is they have to stop spending in all this wasteful funding in so many other places. It's $30 billion. We could absolutely find this money. Again, I supported it because I'm frustrated at their incompetence hurting the very people that I represent. But we should have paid for it. They should have responsibly paid for it. They're just adding more to the debt as they roll along, and it's unfortunate. I think it will get worked out this week, Sandy, next week.
Are you a compassionate conservative?
Well, I'd like to think so. I think conservatism, by its very definition, is compassionate. It really means when you're down on your luck, somebody should help you out, either through charity first or some program that the government might offer. Unemployment insurance is a great example of that. But we have to do it in a way that doesn't hurt your neighbor on the other side of the house. And I think that's, to me, is compassionate. And the problem is folks have used this emotional tug for so long that we have to help everybody in every case at all cases and forgot about the folks who are actually paying into the system when you are unemployed. And I absolutely think it's a god-awful thing for people unemployed. I know they don't want to be unemployed. It's not like they're making a good living off unemployment. But there's also somebody paying in. So we have to take care of the unemployed person, and we have to take care of the person who's paying the bills. And you can do that. That's the beautiful thing if you don't decide that you want to do everything for everybody at all times. And what you see now in a $1.6 trillion deficit is, we're just print the money in the basement and spend it. The problem is it's hurting the very people who are getting up, playing by the rules, and going to work. And we want everybody to get up to go to work, hopefully at one point.
The ones who create the jobs, too, right?
Absolutely. Small businesses are not the evil people that they have made them out to be.
Dave in Dimondale with Congressman Mike Rogers. Good morning.
Good morning, Congressman. Since you are a congressman, do you know much about cloning technology?
I'm sorry, what technology?
Cloning.
I probably know enough to be dangerous, but
because I would just love it if we could clone you and move you over here to my district that Mark Schellers represents. And
God bless you.
I think that you do an extraordinary job in Congress, and I really appreciate you there.
Well, thank you very much. Boy, you guys can keep calling in all day.
I wasn't quite sure where he was going with that either. With
I thought I was in a lot of trouble there for a minute.
We'll continue with U.S. Congressman Mike Rogers, the Republican from the Lansing-Brighton area. The phone number is 8.